Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 152 based on novel. So let's start. Blood demon Erlis has been killed? Di Qing's heart surged with immense waves. These innate chaotic origin life forms, though their moves were crude, each possessed an extremely tenacious life force. Defeating them was easy, but killing them was difficult. According to the experience of the Nine Rivers Sacred World, when a Tao cultivator of the same level faced a low-level chaotic origin life form one-on-one, the Tao cultivator would generally have a slight upper hand. But to kill one was extremely difficult. That was why multiple team members were needed to hunt together. Luo Feng single-handedly killed a late-stage God Emperor low-level chaotic origin life form. With such strength, he is considered top-tier even among the elders. Di Qing pondered to himself. Even Elder Qianhe is nothing to be afraid of. No matter how deep Elder Qianhe's accumulation was, as long as he had not reached the half-chaotic origin level, he could never kill Luo Feng, who possessed such strength. Even if Elder Qianhe had a slight advantage, Luo Feng would still become famous throughout Yulon City. Alright, let's continue hunting. Di Qing calmed his emotions and piloted the black flying boat forward. Brother Luo Feng, this is probably the last time you and I will team up for a hunt. Di Qing sighed. I originally thought I could be of some help, but I didn't expect to be completely unnecessary, or even a burden to you. The late-stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life form was an enormous threat. Just like the previous Elis poison, if even a trace had touched Di Qing, this clone of his would have been completely obliterated. Brother Di Qing, to have reached middle-stage God Emperor within a single reincarnation era on the origin continent is an impressive feat, Luo Feng said with a smile. That kind of talent is even greater than the two kingdoms' founding ancestors. In the future, not to mention reaching the elder level, you might even have a chance to break through to the half-chaotic origin level. Di Qing smiled slightly upon hearing this. He did have such confidence, but he also understood that it would take him endless years, countless hardships, and countless brushes with death to even have a chance at touching the half-chaotic origin level. That would likely be the pinnacle of his lifetime. However, Luo Feng's growth speed was truly astonishing. The half-chaotic origin level seemed almost within his grasp, with no obstacles in sight. Perhaps only by jumping out of the cage will Brother Luo Feng truly face long years of struggle. With his talent, he might really have a chance to jump out of the cage. Di Qing thought to himself. He knew as well that jumping out of the cage was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. In the darkness sacred world, late-stage God Emperor Tao cultivators were merely the minimum threshold. Half-chaotic origin experts were everywhere. This place gathered strong figures from countless worlds, yet jumping out of the cage was still only a legend. It was too difficult. I wonder if Luo Feng's potential will allow him to jump out of the cage and become a chaotic origin life form. Di Qing speculated inwardly. As they conversed, they remained highly vigilant. Luo Feng's bionic eye of destruction between his brows constantly scanned the surroundings, while the Xianqing Heaven Annihilation Formation diagram within his body operated continuously, forming a massive domain to protect the area. During the ambush by Blood Demon Erlis earlier, it was precisely this formation domain that allowed Luo Feng to rescue Di Qing in time. Luo Feng's bionic eye of destruction gazed far ahead to the left. There was a cluster of clouds, obscuring vision, but Luo Feng could still barely perceive that within the mist were several eight-hoofed creatures covered in blue and white scales. Each one had a single horn, exuding a chilling aura that naturally formed the mist. They are Frost Soul Watchers, and there are a full 15 of them. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Among the low-level chaotic origin life forms of the Nine Rivers Sacred World, there were many species. In terms of sheer numbers, the Frost Soul Watcher race ranked first, with an astonishing population. Yulon City's hunters had even witnessed thousands of Frost Soul Watchers moving together, with 3 among them at the perfect God Emperor. Such a massive force, no cultivator in Yulon City dared to obstruct them. They almost always moved in groups. A lone Frost Soul Watcher was an extremely rare sight. Usually, a solitary Frost Soul Watcher had been exiled after failing to compete for the leader's position. Those who could contend for leadership were undoubtedly perfect God Emperor expert. Thus, encountering a lone Frost Soul Watcher was even more terrifying and dangerous. 15 Frost Soul Watchers? Di Ching exclaimed in surprise beside him. Looks like a small squad. Judging by their size, aura, and scale patterns, they should all be at the middle stage God Emperor level. Luo Feng analyzed. Frost Soul Watchers, despite their vast numbers among low-level chaotic origin life forms, are otherwise fairly ordinary. In terms of stealth, evasion, attack, and defense, they had some mastery in each, but none were particularly exceptional. We'll find a way to wipe out all 15 Frost Soul Watchers in one go, Luo Feng said. Di Ching, lend a hand. All right. Di Ching nodded. I'll do my best to block them. The cloud mass moved at a moderate speed. Within it, the 15 Frost Soul Watchers stood, cautiously observing their surroundings. Though their observational skills were far inferior to Luo Feng's secret technique, that bionic eye of destruction, they had some grasp of many different abilities, including perception. They were extremely patient, always on the lookout in all directions. Once they spotted prey, they would strike as a group. Low-level chaotic origin life forms loved hunting, cultivators, and Frost Soul Watchers were particularly ruthless. With their vast numbers, they occasionally devoured other low-level chaotic origin life forms as well. Whoosh tilde 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 tilde. A boundless blood tide suddenly surged forth, spreading crimson across the heavens and earth. The blood-colored domain enveloped the cloud cluster and the 15 Frost Soul Watchers. A cultivator. All 15 Frost Soul Watchers turned to the center of the endless blood tide, where two figures stood, Luo Feng and Di Ching. Kill. The blood tide raged, devouring and tearing at the cloud mass. However, the cloud mass remained firmly intact, resisting the erosion of the blood tide. Meanwhile, Di Ching set up a sword formation from afar. The cultivator controlling the blood tide should be a late-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator. The one beside him is much weaker. If we work together, we can break this blood tide and tear them apart. The 15 Frost Soul Watchers showed no fear. If 3 to 5 elders had intervened, they would have fled without hesitation. But facing just one elder-level opponent? They excelled in group combat. A squad of 15 had the confidence to battle a late-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator. Boom tilde tilde tilde. The 15 Frost Soul Watchers attacked in unison. Frosty air spread out, merging into a single massive cloud mass that shielded them completely, blocking Luo Feng's blood tide. Die, cultivator! The massive cloud mass transformed into an enormous claw, reaching for Luo Feng with terrifying might. Luo Feng struggled to resist but was ultimately torn apart by the massive claw, dissolving into blood tide and merging with the boundless blood sea. He is adept at transforming into a blood sea, but his close combat abilities are mediocre. The 15 Frost Soul Watchers instantly exchanged thoughts. Devour his blood sea. Immediately, their immense cloud mass began madly absorbing the blood tide. Rip! The boundless blood sea suddenly raged. Xianqing heaven, one line between heaven and earth. A ray of light, infused with the essence of life and destruction, pierced through the enormous cloud mass, shattering the core of one Frost Soul Watcher in an instant. As the light passed, it carried the blood tide over the Frost Soul Watcher's corpse, which vanished into thin air. The remaining 14 Frost Soul Watchers were shocked. His boundless blood sea contains a formation, and its power is quite formidable. Keep devouring the blood sea, the smaller it gets, the weaker his formation becomes. The enormous cloud mass continued frantically absorbing the blood tide, temporarily suppressing the absorbed energy. These innate chaotic origin life forms have unique talents, Luo Feng thought, deliberately feigning weakness to prevent the prey from fleeing. Slash! Another ray of destruction light pierced the enormous cloud mass, taking another Frost Soul Watcher with it. We've already absorbed 30% of his blood sea, he won't last much longer. The Frost Soul Watchers refused to give up, continuing their relentless devouring. The blood sea visibly shrank. After that, the light of life and death struck 3 more times, and another 3 Frost Soul Watchers perished. At this moment, the endless blood sea had already shrunk significantly. The sixth strike of the light of life and death could no longer even penetrate the cloud cluster. His blood sea is down to only 30%, the power of the formation has greatly diminished, and it can no longer threaten us. The remaining 10 Frost Soul Watchers grew even more frenzied. Having lost 5 of their companions, their killing intent intensified. EULA-level chaotic origin beings do have some tricks. However, you cannot do anything to me. Suddenly, a blood shadow attempted to escape. Escape? The 10 Frost Soul Watchers all turned their gaze toward the blood shadow. An invisible ripple enveloped the blood shadow. This was their innate ability, Soul Freeze. The Soul Freeze cast by merely 10 Frost Soul Watchers at the same time was not particularly powerful. Even without Lai Yuan technique, Luo Feng could withstand it, with only some impact on his escape technique. Let alone the fact that he had Lai Yuan technique and the indestructible heart protecting him. The indestructible heart also had protective effects on the soul. This Soul Freeze had no effect on Luo Feng whatsoever. The escaping blood shadow seemed to be disturbed momentarily, its escape technique broken, revealing its physical form. Cultivator, you cannot escape. The 10 Frost Soul Watchers were all excited. The massive cloud cluster suddenly expanded enormously, attempting to completely engulf all the blood waves, including Luo Feng's figure. Is that so? Luo Feng feigned madness. Boom! He transformed into a residual shadow, forcefully piercing through the blood waves. A blurry claw slashed past one Frost Soul Watcher, once again shattering a Frost Soul Watcher's life core and taking away a corpse. What? The remaining 9 Frost Soul Watchers felt uneasy. The cultivator, whose strength had already declined significantly, had managed to kill yet another one of their companions. It's about time. Luo Feng was unwilling to delay any longer. Firstly, reducing the 15 Frost Soul Watchers to 9 meant their threat level was now less than half of what it was before. Secondly, in the Elder's hunting zone, battles needed to be resolved quickly. Dragging on too long could lead to unexpected incidents. Rumble .. The endless blood sea unfolded, and a towering figure emerged. Inside this towering figure was the indestructible heart. Under the guidance of the indestructible heart, countless veins extended throughout the entire body and spread across the entire endless blood sea. The indestructible blood sea body, empowered by the indestructible heart, saw its power instantly multiply several times over. Whoosh! As the indestructible blood sea body fully erupted, Luo Feng's right hand also transformed into a massive furry claw. Driven by the indestructible body, this claw instantly tore through the enormous cloud cluster and ripped apart the Frost Soul Watchers formation, instantly killing 2 Frost Soul Watchers. He was hiding his strength. He's not just an ordinary elder. Run! The remaining 7 Frost Soul Watchers realized they had been deceived. They instantly transformed into 7 streaks of light. These 7 streaks of light resembled beams of the mind's essence, facing little resistance from the blood waves as they fled rapidly. However, when it came to escape techniques, while they had some abilities, they were far inferior to creatures like the blood demon Erlis. Luo Feng could see the 7 streaks of light clearly. Whoosh! The blood waves surged, heaven and earth flipped. Suppress! The entire blood sea space pressed down, instantly trapping 5 of the light streaks within the blood sea eye. The remaining 2 escaping light streaks, one was enveloped by Luo Feng's massive furry claw executing palm world, while the other was intercepted by Di Qing's sword formation. Soon, all these Frost Soul Watchers were captured and slain one by one. They were actually all caught. Luo Feng was quite excited. A single Frost Soul Watcher was easy to deal with, but a team of 15 was exponentially more troublesome. This time, by showing slight weakness, he had managed to outmaneuver them completely. 15 Frost Soul Watchers, worth nearly 200 million chaotic origin crystals. Di Qing was also exhilarated, having finally contributed. Let's leave this place first. Luo Feng remained clear-headed, not daring to linger in the battlefield for too long. The 2 of them immediately piloted the black flying boat and swiftly departed. Just dozens of breaths later, 9 Frost Soul Watchers with even more terrifying auras arrived at the scene. Their gazes pierced through the void, their icy presence enveloping a vast area as they carefully examined every trace of the battle. My entire team under my command was annihilated, none managed to escape. One of the 9 terrifyingly powerful Frost Soul Watchers spoke. These cultivators this time are relatively strong. The attack on the Heartland has already been reported. I believe the leaders are already tracking them. The number of low-level chaotic origin lifeforms was vast. If the outermost regions were attacked, they wouldn't care too much. The outermost areas were simply too expansive, making it extremely difficult to hunt down those cultivators. But this time, it was the Heartland that had been attacked. The low-level chaotic origin lifeform tribes would soon deploy various forces to carry out a hunt. These cultivators are few in number and not very strong. If not for the protection of the cities, we would have devoured them all long ago. The Frost Soul Watchers were full of resentment. In terms of overall strength, the low-level chaotic origin lifeforms were far superior to the cultivators. However, the cultivators had the protection of cities, which not only allowed them to cultivate in peace but also let them launch occasional ambushes on the chaotic origin lifeforms, treating them as resources to enhance their strength. If only we could break through another city, then we could feast on those cultivators to our heart's content. One Frost Soul Watcher fantasized aloud. Yes, I heard that when Boyang City was conquered last time, our kind in that area had a grand feast. There were billions of cultivators inside the city, such numbers are rarely seen. Another Frost Soul Watcher chimed in. Unfortunately, breaking through a city is easier said than done. The 35 cities of the 9 Rivers Sacred World required merit to apply for construction. These cities were massive treasure fortresses, exchanged using merit, and were jointly controlled by the palace masters and elders, ensuring a high level of security. No matter how strong the low-level chaotic origin lifeforms were, direct assaults were difficult. Only through internal collusion could a breakthrough be possible. Every time a city was breached, it was a catastrophic disaster for the cultivators. The supreme beings who established the 9 Rivers Sacred World did so to temper the younger generation, and their arrangements were already heavily in favor of the cultivators. If, despite this, the cities were still being conquered, then it could only mean the cultivators were simply too incompetent. The 9 Frost Soul Watchers conversed briefly while riding a cloud, flying at extreme speeds as they patrolled the surroundings. At this moment, a message arrived. Wild Hoof Leader, in your territory, late-stage God Emperor Blood Demon Erlis and 15 middle-stage God Emperor Frost Soul Watchers have been slain. It is suspected that an elder has entered the Heartland to begin hunting. Understood. A terrifying bolt of lightning shot out from the vast river. Bathed in lightning, it immediately began patrolling its territory. The elder hunting zones was already very close to the 9 rivers. Daring to hunt in my territory. The terrifying figure within the lightning strode through the void at extreme speed. The vast region surrounding Yulon City was home to numerous low-level chaotic origin lifeform tribes of various species. Among them, the chaotic origin Wild Hoof tribe was relatively small in number, but their individual strength was generally formidable. In the area around Yulon City, there was only one perfect God Emperor chaotic origin Wild Hoof, who naturally became the tribe's leader. Perfect God Emperor low-level chaotic origin lifeforms were quite rare. A race like the Frost Soul Watchers, which existed in vast numbers, might have several perfect God Emperor beings around Yulon City. However, most races had only one at best, and some had none at all. The so-called Elder Hunting Zones, which lay deep within the heartland of the low-level chaotic origin lifeforms, were divided into territories, each managed by a chief. This was the greatest danger elders faced when hunting. After all, these low-level chaotic origin lifeforms were highly intelligent, they wouldn't foolishly allow themselves to be slaughtered. In the Heartland, killing even one would trigger pursuit. Inside a black flying boat. We killed 15 middle-stage God Emperor Frost Soul Watchers. Not a single one escaped. Di Qing was extremely excited. In terms of value, this team of Frost Soul Watchers is slightly more valuable than that Blood Demon Erlis we took down earlier. Luo Feng nodded. The corpse of a late-stage God Emperor Blood Demon Erlis, due to its highly toxic nature, could sell for around 1.5 billion chaotic origin crystals, with an additional 10 million in merit value, bringing the total price to approximately 1.6 billion chaotic origin crystals. Meanwhile, the 15 Frost Soul watches, including merit value, could sell for about 1.9 billion chaotic origin crystals. We should head back soon, Luo Feng said. My original plan was to hunt 2 late-stage God Emperor targets before returning. We've just about met that goal now. We should be cautious. Di Qing nodded in agreement. The Elder hunting zones are, after all, deep within the low-level chaotic origin life forms territory, with too many powerful beings around. On this journey, they had encountered prey twice, once, a late-stage God Emperor Blood Demon Erlis, the second time, a team of Frost Soul Watchers. This was enough to prove that the Heartland was teeming with low-level chaotic origin life forms, and their strength was formidable. Phew. With their decision made, Di Qing immediately piloted the black flying boat with great care, beginning their return journey toward Yulon City. Luo Feng gazed at the surrounding environment, silently contemplating, my strength in the Elder hunting zones is still too lacking. The Elders occasionally dared to come here because they operated with clones and never carried extremely precious treasures like the indestructible heart or palm world. Even if an clone perished, the loss would be manageable. However, Luo Feng carried these 2 treasures, so he had to be even more cautious. When will my strength advance further so that I can frequently come to the Heartland for hunting? Luo Feng thought to himself. If the Tao of Life and Death could advance further to the middle stage God Emperor level as a fusion Tao, the middle stage God Emperor Tao of Life and Death should be comparable to the perfect God Emperor level of Tao Cultivator. By then, his strength should reach the level of a Palace Master. As long as he didn't go deep into the 9 rivers, the safety factor would still be relatively high. But I have been in Yulon City for 900 epochs, and the Tao of Life and Death has only reached the early stage God Emperor level. Breaking through to the middle stage God Emperor level will face even greater obstacles, and the time required will not be short. Luo Feng understood in his heart that his current cultivation was still going smoothly, without encountering a bottleneck. Unlike some cultivators who were stuck at a bottleneck and unable to make any progress, that was the true pain. I should follow what Senior Yuan and the others said. It's best not to look at other cultivators' inheritances and rely entirely on my own exploration. This way, every step can be solid. Luo Feng had always adhered to this belief and had never purchased any half-chaotic origin inheritances until now. He felt that he was like a blank sheet of paper, and looking at other cultivators' inheritances would only pollute his cultivation path. Only by relying entirely on his own exploration could every bit of accumulation lead to an understanding of the essence, making his cultivation truly solid. Luo Feng is truly strong. As Luo Feng pondered over cultivation, Di Qing, beside him, was still in shock over their harvest this time. Even in the Elder's hunting zone, he can achieve such results. The current Luo Feng should be considered a relatively strong Elder. At this rate, won't it be long before he reaches the level of the 3 great palace masters? Di Qing thought to himself. Perhaps the entire structure of Yulon City will change because of Brother Luo Feng. No. With Brother Luo Feng's talent, he may not even care about Yulon City. Di Qing felt a mix of emotions in his heart. In his eyes, the 3 great palace masters of Yulon City, who stood at the peak, might not even be worth mentioning in front of Luo Feng. Each carrying their own thoughts, the black flying boat sped forward at an extreme speed. Suddenly, in the distant void, a terrifying bolt of lightning appeared. That horrifying existence looked over from afar. Luo Feng and Di Qing instantly became alert, not daring to be distracted in the slightest. This. Di Qing stared in disbelief at the terrifying lightning in the distance. Just feeling its aura from afar made him shiver in fear. That aura far surpassed Blood Demon Erlis. Luo Feng also stared closely into the distance. Deep within his soul, an intense sense of danger warned him, making his very being tremble. The chaotic origin Wild Hoof clan. A perfect God Emperor level existence. Luo Feng's soul shuddered. Such a terrifying aura was undoubtedly that of a perfect God Emperor. It should be the leader of the chaotic origin Wild Hoof clan. As a small race in number, there should be only one perfect God Emperor in the vicinity of Yulon City, making it the natural leader. The chaotic origin wild hoof appeared entirely black at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it had faint traces of deep blue. Its entire body was covered in layers of scales, its figure was massive, and on each side of its head, there was an incomparably sharp curved horn. Its thunder-filled eyes locked onto Luo Feng and Di Qing. Just one glance made the two of them feel terrified. Brother Luo Feng. Di Qing realized the situation was dire. You should hide first. I need to find a way to escape. Luo Feng instantly stored Di Qing away, along with the black flying boat. Luo Feng knew very well that he had no intention of defeating the opponent. His priority was to escape. A perfect god emperor. And it's from the chaotic origin Wild Hoof clan. Luo Feng understood that this was the greatest threat he had faced since coming to the Nine Rivers sacred world. Among low-level chaotic origin life forms, there were many different races, each with unique talents. For example, the Frost Soul Watchers had balanced abilities but were not specialized in any aspect. Blood Demon Erlis was skilled in stealth and deadly poison but lacked strong frontal combat abilities. The chaotic origin Wild Hoof, on the other hand, was entirely different. Its racial talent was exceptionally powerful, making it one of the strongest among its peers. In terms of physical body strength, it was one of the most terrifying among low-level chaotic origin life forms of the same level. The three great palace masters had each, at some point, slain a perfect-level god emperor, low-level chaotic origin life form in a one-on-one battle. However, they relied on their powerful treasures and also had an advantage in countering their enemies. If they faced a perfect god emperor chaotic origin Wild Hoof, even the three palace masters might have no solution. How dare you to hunt in my territory? A deep voice echoed across the vast void, as the chaotic origin Wild Hoof leader coldly gazed at Luo Feng. Are you the newly promoted elder of Yulon City? Your clone isn't leaving today. As soon as the words fell. Boom! The vast void around them suddenly condensed with terrifying cyan lightning, which directly struck toward Luo Feng. The lightning was too fast, Luo Feng had no time to dodge. Bang! The lightning struck Luo Feng. His body contained the indestructible heart, which greatly enhanced the resilience of his indestructible blood sea body, giving it an almost indestructible nature. At this moment, he forcibly endured the terrifying attack. Although his head felt dazed, his body still withstood the impact. The indestructible heart is truly resilient, nearly indestructible. Luo Feng secretly sighed in relief. As long as he could withstand the lightning's ranged attacks, he still had a chance to escape. The distant chaotic origin Wild Hoof leader was slightly surprised, then moved. Boom! As it moved, its terrifying figure, bathed in lightning, instantly tore through space. Just the aftershocks caused layers of cracks to spread across billions of kilometers of space, revealing faint traces of mysterious patterns at the very edge. Under the twisted and shattered space, Luo Feng tried his best to evade, but that terrifying figure had already arrived right before him. This video will end here.